Yes. Okay. That again. Meeting to order. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. If there's any member of the public that would like to comment on an agenda item, please fill out one of the blue comment cards and give it to the board secretary. If you're attending virtually, place comments in the chat, and the board secretary will call on you at an appropriate time. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. Current policies allow for any item on the agenda to be open for a comment. Please remember, board members, to state your name so Tanya can remember, or she can remember your name. As if she knows who's commenting. Are there any written communications?
There or not.
Yeah. All right. So, 2.0. Communications, request from persons wishing to speak. Nobody online? Are you in charge of that tonight, Tanya?
Yes, I am.
Okay, 2.3 financial report.
Yeah, I was gonna just make one little comment because if you look at the September, both in the revenue and the expenditure on both sides, there's we had a $4 million increase in both, and it's because of the debt service that was moved, the ESSER money that was moved into the debt service. So we had to request it. It came in as revenue and then we put it into debt service. So that's why that looks a lot bigger.
No, it's already budgeted for, correct?
That was part of the budget, yes.
Yes. Right, 2.4 enrollment report.
Enrollment is currently, I looked this morning, 5744. I think it was, last month was 5750 on our screen. And when the Valley did ADM, we were right in that area. So I see 5762 on this report. It's kind of random. I haven't quite figured out what our actual enrollment is. Depends on who you ask, when you ask. It's
That number is based on PowerSchool.
that number is based on PowerSchool. Okay, so I look every day at the enrollment report on the intranet, and today it was 5744. So
But this was set for September, so
For
September
September.
30th was that.
okay. So
Chair, I just wanted to verify. So looks like we're back at 2020 enrollment levels based on this. At the bottom, September 20 was 5744 and we're at 5744 now.
yes,
So we've recovered about half of
correct.
what we had lost.
That is accurate.
Great.
And again, we built the budget on 5,600, I believe is what you told me. Yes, so we're above where we built the budget.
Thank you.
The out-of-state travel.
Yeah, we have, wrestling going to the Sierra Nevada Classic. We have wrestling going to all over the place. California, and then we have conference in California. I don't know that says, and then we have one in Vegas. Nobody ever sent me to Vegas when I was a teacher.
It's probably a good idea.
And I've asked for Orlando one time, but they won't let me do that either. So, and then that's really about it. So, okay.
Moving on to 3.0, all items on the consent agenda can be approved by a single motion unless a board member or Superintendent Sweeney requests the items to be changed, removed, or voted on separately.
This is Member Richardson. I move that we adopt the consent agenda 3.1, 2, and 3. The agenda for tonight, the board minutes from the September 13th meeting, the personnel report with one exception, and that would be the 7.2.5 CV superintendent policy to be removed from the agenda tonight.
Member Coolman seconds the motion.
Any discussion? All right.
I couldn't hear the whole motion. I'm sorry. Could you say that?
Say the whole thing again.
Well, just give me the gist of it.
The short version is adopting the consent agenda, removing 7.2.5.
We just need to look at that some more.
Yes.
Is that you need to look at it more, or is that the policy committee? needs to
He's
look at
asking the policy committee to look at it again.
Okay, been moved, seconded. All those in favor? Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
say yes. All those opposed? All right. And passed with the change. Moving on to 4.0 reports. 4.1 high school math, Fawn Perry.
Briefly introduce Fawn. She is our math department chair. And in addition, she also teaches ALEC and she teaches math. And she's our Native American Student Union advisor. And she is our Z Club advisor, which is over in Songton in town. She wears a lot of hats and does a lot of great work for Grants Pass High School and our kids.
Yeah, so I made some slides and they're all legitimately stolen from the ODE because of all those hats I wear. Why remake what someone has already made so beautifully? So I'm just going to give a brief overview of kind of some of the changes in the math program at the high school. So Tanya, are you in charge of them?
There's a little bit of mic.
I've never been in charge of this. What am I click, Danny?
Power.
Listen,
One
this
right
guy, what a great teacher. Okay, all right.
It's my 1 month in tech, you know.
That's all it takes. Good learners. So Oregon is moving to 2+1 model. I know for the past couple of years attending Oregon Math Leaders Conference and, other kinds of workshops, they've been slowly working towards this, and this is actually rolling out now. So in the past, the change has been, just like we have our standards, we address them in these kind of, algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2 levels. The change is kind of as on the screen there. So the 2+1 means that there's 2 core credits that all students take, 1 full credit of algebra. And then the second part of that too is half a year of geometry, half a year of data science. That would happen ideally, like in a normal track on 10th grade year. And then after that, there are pathways. So there is still the calculus, pre-calculus route that's there, that's not going away. There's also a statistics route. And then there's a third option on the end if we have some more, we have some options to build new things, financial algebra, other kinds of courses that we are sharing around the state and kind of, learning from other people as we go. So I'm in charge of this. I'm not gonna. Whoa, you left and it stopped working.
Oh,
Oh, that's a laser pointer.
push right. There
I
you go.
did. Oh, okay. I'm just bad at it. I apologize.
It's your first time.
It is. I'm like shaking in my boots and I'm not even wearing boots. Okay, so this is just a lot of words to briefly say, like, why is this change happening? It's to better align with the Oregon educational goals, right? So students there are people, right? They get skills not only that are necessary to go to college and go along that track, but also to be applicable in their life, right? So we have changes both in the standards and in pedagogy to engage them, to have it be applicable. And that will be amazing for them. real quick. This is a hot mess, but in short, that little purple circle, that's the track for like the standard algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2. It's like a 50-50 chance that a kid can follow that pathway and actually reach where it leads. So that's kind of the big why here. Why don't we have more pathways for kids who are, algebra 2 is directly leading towards engineering kinds of fields. That's not for everyone. Why not have more statistical offerings or other kinds of math? So I also have some more data and stuff, math person, about that pathway and kind of how it hasn't worked out super well for our students. It doesn't work when I scowl at it, that's the thing.
And students, high school students need 3 years of math.
Yes, ma'am. 3 years of math. So it has to be algebra 1 and above those levels of math. So like pre-algebra, if the kid needs to remediate, that doesn't count as on high school math credit. Other than that, everything we offer is above that. Okay, this is our timeline. So when things go into effect. So the standards were adopted by the state board last year or so. The state, so we will be hearing about their recommended curricula in like a week, something like that. I think the state board meeting is next week. So we are in a curriculum adoption year. We'll be looking at those materials and reviewing as it goes. Our department and the people in my department who I just love so dearly have put so much time into this already. We had more than half of our department over the summer at Oregon Math Leaders Conference, talking to people. I've attended some with U of O, things like that. So we have a ton of work that's already been put into this, and we're just now at that like 22, 23, we're getting the instructional materials and putting it into action. So this is, again, a lot of words, meaning we have a lot of work ahead of us in order to align. Our goal is that we've been rolling out this year. We have 1 full year of algebra, just algebra. Next year, we'll roll out geometry and data science. And the year after that is when we would roll out +1 options. So we've kind of already begun that shift to the algebra 1 full year. And then next year, we'll roll up to year 2 of that 2+1. We have a ton of work that we're doing. I know a lot about that stuff, but I won't take up too much of your time talking about us and bragging about all the work we've been doing. That is question.
And so this is a state initiative. Do you see it really helping our students?
Yes, ideally. I've taught lots of different things in my tenure, and a lot of it has been in those first 2 years. Geometry in particular has been a bit of a sticking point because the kids struggle with the applicability and when am I going to use this? And I give them all the right answers, which is I'm teaching you to think. And there are lots of careers that use this, but adding more data science in that second year, which is like, I can actually understand numbers that are coming at me. It helps so much, it's just in understanding the numbers around you in the world. So, statistics and probability is something in most curriculums that usually we go, okay, if we get there, we'll cover it. And so it kind of gets left off unintentionally, just we're out of time. Back me up, Robert, is that usually what happens? Yeah, he knows. So I love that this is sectioning out like, hey, we need to really prioritize this and cover it. So, yeah.
All right, thank you.
So we have some kind of program to help the kids with their path through the 4 years of high school. I forget what it's called. What is it? Yeah, that one.
Oh yeah, the Power School, yeah.
How are these changes getting integrated into that?
I would love to know the answer to that. I was introduced to Naviance through Avid, and so I looked at all the tools for college planning and stuff. I haven't had a ton of time to get into that. But as we roll out those pathways, again, like that's not this year, that's coming up. It's really about what we can offer. So like right now, we have the first two, right? The calculus and the data science pathway, but we don't really have anything else. So if we wanted to make more of those, that's a really cool idea. I love that if we can integrate it with Navient.
Gary, if it's, maybe you're referencing the four-year planner that a lot of work and focus went into several years ago for your request. We'll change those courses in Power School, so 8th graders will be able to input what their choice will be for as 9, 10, 11 graders, et cetera.
I just want to make sure that the 8th graders have a way to make their plan to either get the Oregon transfer module or almost complete an associate's in some field. But if we offer so much, it's hard to pick the right path that fits the student.
And I don't think we have the staffing to offer too many pathways, honestly, right? Like, if we branch it too much, yeah, that's gonna be crazy. But if we have, like, their example was 3 pathways, like, that seems pretty reasonable, and that's probably where we would start. And then see how it plays out from there. And then I think ideally aligning it with, like, hey, this is the careers associated with that, or like if we have college credit offerings on those pathways, saying what they line up to give kids in college.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I relinquish my clicker.
You can run it for the rest of the meeting if you want to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. All right. Mr. Campura.
Oh, boy, I think I'm up here for a little bit. Jeremy's gonna bail me out in case we get something here. So we had an ODE audit in transportation. This last year, it came back in the fall and reviewed it. This is Jeremy Garnes. Jeremy is our transportation supervisor. Jeremy's department did really, really well in that audit. Jeremy's been here, what, 2 years as the head of that department, right? Correct. So really, really happy with the things that are taking place there. So one of the things, though, that came out of the audit was supplemental plan. And what that is basically the plan that says we have that 1 mile zone where we're not supposed to transport students. You don't get any reimbursement if you transport students within that 1 mile zone around a school. But you can submit a supplemental plan if there are hazardous streets and things like that. And so, thanks, Tommy. So there are some hazards around, and our supplemental plan had not been updated for a while. And so I won't tell you how long. So Jeremy and his crew updated our supplemental plan. We crossed out, like, for instance, Darnell Street out in the Redwood area where they put in the sidewalks and the bike lanes and all that kind of stuff. It's no longer a hazardous place. So anyway, the maps that you have show where those areas are. I think Tommy gave us to today. And then the wording on there will tell you where some of the hazardous conditions are that we've identified. Kind of gives you a general area of the particular school. And then it tells you how many students we are actually currently picking up in those particular areas. And then we submitted that to ODE to cover us in our supplemental plan. And so, Jeremy, what did I forget?
Sounds about right.
All right. So if you had any questions, we tried to summarize the number of students and things that are picked up for each school in those areas that are noted as being, and hazardous is, it just means it's better that they get picked up than it is that they have a bus stop right there, or that, I mean, that they walk because the sidewalks aren't as well defined and that kind of stuff. Bridge Street is a great example of that near Parkside. So,
Does this, can I ask a question?
please.
Does this coincide with the safe routes to schools that Cliff has talked about with the Kiwanis? Is it? I know they did some work like on Pine Street at one point, putting in sidewalks and Cliff,
Yeah. So if they
safe
put-
routes to school.
I can't answer that without looking that up.
It hopefully the safe routes to schools takes away some of these hazards so that more kids can walk for exercise and that kind of stuff. So yes, there is some working together. Anyway, we have to, through ODE, make sure that we have updated the board on our supplemental plan. So that's what this is. Yes, sir, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, it says at the top here, school districts are reimbursed 70% of their costs for transporting students.
Mhm.
What is included in those costs? Is that fuel and maintenance and everything?
Yeah, correct. Fuel, maintenance, staffing, I believe there's some bus depreciation things that are able to be reimbursed at the 70% level, so just about all things transportation are reimbursed at the 70%. Thanks.
Except the buses.
Okay, so I looked at this and didn't look at the map, but Lincoln surprised me because I thought Lincoln was one of the schools that had the most sidewalks. So I'm trying to look at the map to figure out where the sidewalks are. Okay.
Right there by the school on 10th Street itself, the westward side is all the way up the street from A Street to the school. But the eastern side of 10th Street does not have sidewalks all the way up. There are multiple spots for hundreds of yards that are not sidewalked all the way up.
Okay.
So we've kept a lot of those stops because of that.
Okay. Thank you.
I think we're good. Move on to 4.3.
Yes, so along with that, any bus that was born prior to 2007. Yes, Susan, they were born. Cannot be in the fleet after 2025. And so we have been going through the process of replacing buses. One of the ways of replacing the buses is we also try to sell the old buses. You have a board policy that says anything that may be over $5,000, the board has to approve that as something that can be sold. And so we anticipate that some of these buses will make more than $5,000. The best thing that they've done so far to raise the most money is actually put them on Craigslist on kind of an auction type of thing. People bid on them. They let the highest bidder know at the end of the day, hey, you're right now the highest bidder, so forth and so on. It goes on for about 2 weeks. And at the end of the 2-week period, then we sell the bus to the highest bidder. Conversely, at one time, if we were to sell them back to Western Bus, where we get our buses, we got about $1,000 for those buses at the most. And so it's a better way for us to get more money for the buses that we are taking out of the fleet. But we need the board to know and make sure that you're okay that we are going through this process, because they can't be on the road for us after 2025. So that's why we're doing this.
No, run that by me again, that we can't have any of these buses on after 25 because of the new.
House Bill
EPA.
2007.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so how many other buses do we have that are going to be up for sale?
You will have another 7 next year, right?
Correct.
So about 7 this year, 7 next year. So we just received 7 new propane and then a couple of diesel buses also from Western Bus that meet the new qualifications. And we will need to buy another 7 buses to complete our fleet.
And so do we know what a typical lifespan in years and mileage for the new gas or the new propane buses is, or?
Expected lifespan
Yeah.
is roughly 25 years,
Okay.
roughly. That's what they hope for. We're finding different things that they've made some changes with the propane systems because of the fuel pumps. There's not an actual lubricating fuel pump for propane vehicles with the injection style that we have. So that's something that Roush is working on, and if anybody figures out a way to do it, they'll be making millions of dollars, promise that. So we're working on that, but that's what they say is about 25 years.
Well, I noticed the one bus has, almost twice as many miles on it, or at least a third more miles on it than the others.
That's the one we've been using for trips majority. So it goes up to Portland frequently.
Okay, and so what's a mileage lifespan, I guess, is the other question.
For the propane, they're saying about 500,000.
Okay. All right, great, thank you very much.
And I think our plan, Debbie, would be we won't wait 25 years to buy all those buses. That I think the plan is it's not quite done, but let's buy 2 this year and then 2 this year and 2 this year and so forth and so on, so that we eventually replace our fleet without having to replace them all at the same time. Yes, sir.
How many full-size buses do we have in our fleet approximately?
We have 25 that are on the road every day. We have 6 more that are subs and trip buses, so 31.
Great, Thank you.
Excellent. Not done.
Not so much about buses, but a little bit about the policy and the $5,000. So looks like the policy was originally 1988. And $5,000 might be a little bit of a low limit. So I don't really, at the board level, I don't think we really need to deal with $5,000 amounts, and maybe we should look at changing that policy and up in the limit so that we don't have to deal with that stuff.
Yep, we can do that. For the policy committee. Is there a dollar amount you board would feel comfortable with?
I think it's new to us.
Okay,
So,
well, don't have to have an answer tonight. You can think about it.
For tonight, the answer is $5,000.
Correct.
So thank you for letting us do that. We appreciate it. All right, I think I'm still up here.
Yep,
All
4.4.
right. So Gary, I believe you asked the question about who's watching the energy savings to make sure that it was taking place. And so we did meet with Amoresco, and we wanted to make sure that they were actually tracking, because they're supposed to track the energy usage and all that kind of stuff. And so this is the answer, unofficial answer. We will get an official answer with all the data, but so far their guarantee was 826 kilowatt hours. We have saved 925,000 kilowatt hours. So we've exceeded the guaranteed energy savings that they said that they would do. They say lighting is the lowest hanging fruit of any energy savings. And so because of that, as long as we're comfortable with the numbers, they would recommend that we not pay the additional $7,000 for somebody to track that in the future. But that would be something you guys would need to decide.
So their monitoring was part of the original contract, right?
Right. Then to do it next year, though, would cost us another $7,000.
I don't know if this is, I personally think if you don't track it, then it gets lost. And we have had some incidences in the past where systems in the district were running less than optimally for a number of years before it finally came to somebody's attention. So I'm kind of for that kind of money and the amount that we save. I'm not so sure we shouldn't continue to monitor.
Do we know a dollar amount for 925,000 kilowatt hours saved?
It's about 11 cents a kilowatt hour. So just take a zero off and add a little bit, and it'll be pretty close.
Thanks.
Minus $7,850. Yeah, I don't, so, you know, we've changed the lights out. I mean, I would encourage us to spend $7,000 in a different way. Not that it's an astronomical amount of money, but I would rather see it going to the students rather than for us to have a number that comes back to us to reassure us that things are fine. I don't think the lights are going to fail in the next few years. For that concern, I'm certainly happy to look at it in 5 or 10 years and say, maybe we do need to look at it again and monitor it. But just to monitor something, especially when it's brand new for the sake of monitoring, not the best use of our money. Maybe in 5 or 10 years when we want to look at it again to see if we're still getting that same efficiency, that would be fine. But I don't know that that's the best use of $7,000. We could put it towards the students or do something else with it.
I believe that was the recommendation of the engineering. Yeah.
How are they monitoring? How do they perform?
Good question.
How do they know?
We'll bring you a full report, but this is just the preliminary. So you can see for yourself what it looks like.
I mean, if we really want to know, we can do our own. We can see how much we paid in our electric bills this year, and we can check it next year and see if we can do our own self-monitoring of some of these things if we're that concerned about it. Then that will be a lot less expensive than spending extra money. So
We have had systems in District 7 improperly commissioned will cost us far more than this. Because nobody closed the loop to see that we were getting what we paid for. So in this case, yes, we can say, okay, it's lighting and it did get installed, but we need to be really careful. It is easy in an organization this large to purchase systems and not get what you pay for it if you don't measure it.
We do have a facilities committee, I believe, that our superintendent has recommended get started, and I would hope that that would be something that the subcommittee would be evaluating, is all of these systems. Because I agree, we have had boilers go out, we've had furnaces that need to be replaced. I mean, but that's something that I hope we could look at in a less expensive way. But absolutely, I agree with you, Gary, 100%. We need to be monitoring these things. But that's, I think, can be done differently.
Moving on to 5.0. Thank you, Danny.
Division 22. Division 22 report is due each year. It used to be due in February. They moved it up in the school year. You see it there before you. It is, we are saying we are in compliance with all measures in Division 22. It's the same report you see every year. Nothing has changed substantially. We send this to the directors and they make sure that we are following all the rules set forth by the state of Oregon. Any questions? Okay.
5.2.
Yeah, we have a couple of AR updates for you. Well, one AR update and a deletion on board policies. JEA, which is the AR for that, is the compulsory attendance notices and citations. We did an update with that, and that is in your board packet for you to take a look at. Nothing too dramatic, but it's the administrative rule, which is the work we've done. And then the local wellness program, 5.22. The state of Oregon is recommending, or OSBA is recommending that we delete that AR since we have redone the wellness policy. So we are recommending the board, well, we are going to delete that policy. The policy committee was in agreement with that. Questions on either of those?
Okay. Moving on to 6.0, board reports and special concerns. We have on here OSBA elections. It's just there to discuss if anybody is interested in nominating anybody. But if not, we can move along. You guys are
Nothing to
talkers.
see here.
Nothing to see. Okay, so on the agenda, there are 4 policies that the advisory committee reviewed and presents to the board for a second reading. Nobody gets to talk tonight. No, you guys are too quiet. Or does anybody have a board report or special concern?
Yes.
Debbie.
So this is the at least state, maybe national board member go to school lunch week. So I went with Tim and Danny to Parkside today. And they said, well, do you want a little tour? And I said, yes, please. And so we took a little tour through and saw math problems being solved and students reading and life skills students eating lunch, and then had a lunch of bread sticks with cheese in them that was very yummy. And salad and beans and raisins and saw little kids being mostly happy. And so it was a very nice tour and I appreciated the opportunity.
And they all were enjoying their meals.
Yep.
So, yep, we made sure we visited with them.
Not too many peanut butter and jelly advocates, but.
Not today, no. The
Worn
cheese
out.
sticks were more. Yep.
All right. Any other? Gary?
So along the lines of my personal education plan deal, I just kind of want to mention that I heard some good things about Keith at GP Flex and how he got with every family to see what each one of their students needed and whether they should be in GP Flex or not. And also Mike at Gladiola and how his work with the students fits the hope thing that I put up on the screen the other day, how he gives them, shows them how you can have a job, get an apartment and a car. So, I just wanted to say that I appreciate it when I hear those things and wanted to thank you guys for that.
And Keith needs all the good news he can get right now, doesn't he?
Aw.
The Mariners blew a 7-0 what lead?
7-3.
He knows I'm not wearing a therapist. I'm not wearing a jersey.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Change your socks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask a favor?
Yes.
Can I kind of scroll back to the superintendent's report? Because I left something out.
Yes.
I wanted to give you guys, we've been talking about food service quite a bit, and I wanted to share with you a few items real quick because I thought you'd find them interesting and important. We average serving over 8,200 meals a day to our students, breakfast and lunch. The food service department, along with the technology department, has been working hard with ODE, and we just got CEP, which is our community eligibility program, which gives everybody free meals, approved for another 5-year extension. So I thought, should have mentioned that, and I apologize. 3 of our elementaries for about a decade have been doing the fresh fruits and vegetable program, which provides a snack for students during the day. The other 3 elementary schools were approved to qualify for that program as well. So that will start on November 1st. And on November 15th, moving away from food service a little bit, on November 15th, no, go back to food service, apologize. We have 3 schools that are going to be piloting a supper program, which is an after-school program. Right now, that's going to be Gladiola, Riverside, Highland. We are going to meet on October 25th with Mike from food service and with those 3 principals and start working on seeing how we can get more food to more students, which is an important goal. Now, going back to November 15th, we will be inviting you to a data walk at Grants Pass High School, and we're going to be inviting, it's part of the TIDE meeting, but much bigger. We're going to be inviting the entire community. We're going to be displaying all of our state results and data for last year for everybody to see. Trish was going to give you that report tonight, but she is out of town. And so we're going to just open that up to the whole community and go through that together and let people ask questions and participate, seeing it all at the same time. So that'll be in the evening on November 15th. Okay, so I apologize for missing those that were under my agenda.
Awesome. Any questions for anything you just said? Okay. So moving on to 7.0 action items. There are 4 policies that the advisory committee has reviewed and presents to the board for a second and final reading.
I move we approve item 7.1.1, 2, 3, and 4. CCG, ECACA, ACB, and IGBB.
Member Coolman seconds.
Having been moved and seconded, all those in favor, is there any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any
Yes.
opposed? All right. Moving on, 7.2. These are policies that the advisory committee has reviewed. And we are presenting them as a first reading.
I move that we approve 7.2, first reading of amended policies. 7.2.1 through 7.2.9. Remembering that 7.2.5 was removed from the list.
Member Coolman seconds.
All right. All those in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed? All right. Moving on to 7.3.
Discussion.
The policy, this is a policy that is recommended by OSBA to be deleted, policy GBLA, disclosure of information, as it's already covered in policy GBL, personal records. I'm looking for a motion.
Chair. On policy approvals moving forward, can we do roll call votes, please?
Sure.
Member Coolman seconds.
I need it first.
I move to approve.
Brian did.
Okay, perfect. Tanya, can we get a roll call to vote?
And we're sticking with Daily Grange as a first and Coleman as a second.
Yes.
Member De La Grange,
Yes.
Member Nelson,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Member Brownell,
Yes.
Member Richardson,
Yes.
Board Chair Wilkins,
Yes. Okay, 7.4. I need a motion to approve the surplus bus proposal.
Member Nelson, so move.
Second.
You got a second.
is that seconded by Coleman?
It was Cliff.
All right. All those in favor say yes.
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 So discussion.
Yes, discussion.
So
Tend to
I
forget
just
that.
There you go.
thought I'd mention, I was confused and asked to see what 2207 looked like, and the only difference between what we passed previously and this one is the fact that ODE evidently needed the separation out of, on the bus replacement fund, the support services versus other uses, but all the totals are the same. Just wanted to read that into the record.
So all those in favor?
Yes.
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 Any opposed? All right. Moving forward to 7.5. Approval of resolution 2223-02, budget adoption.
I think there's. some
That's what we just
confusion.
did.
That's what Debbie was just.
Oh.
Debbie was commenting on 7.5. We hadn't finished the vote. for
7.4.
The documents labeled 7.4 is actually 7.5, so that might be where the confusion came from.
Okay. So 7.4 is approval of surplus bus proposal.
This is that list from Danny's report of the buses from 2007. That was what the surplus bus proposal was.
So Member Brownell moves to approve the surplus bus proposals. Craigslist listing.
Member Coolman second.
We already did that.
Well, we didn't.
No,
We're doing it again.
Okay, then we gotta do 7.5 again.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes. So all those in favor of approving 7.4 approval of the surplus bus proposal? Please say yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, anybody opposed? It's been moved and passed 7.4. Moving on to 7.5. The approval of resolution 2223-02 that Debbie spoke of earlier.
okay, so run this by me again, Tanya, what have we voted on and what do we still have to vote on?
So there wasn't an attachment for 7.4 because we addressed it up in reports. So we were just voting on what was addressed in the reports for approval of the surplus bus proposal.
And didn't we just already vote on that?
No, you commented on the resolution piece before we voted on the
Bus
approval of the surplus bus proposal. Remember Nelson made the first, Coleman made the second. We hadn't got to the vote yet. We went into discussion, which was about the resolution.
I'm sorry, didn't we vote on two things? Didn't we already vote on?
We
the
voted on
bus
7.4 twice.
And also on the resolution
we did 7.4 twice.
twice. Oh, so now we're at 7.5, is that what you're saying?
There was some confusion on the first vote for 7.4, so we did it over.
Okay,
Now we're gonna do 7.5.
It's different.
okay, I'm
Okay.
sorry, I skipped ahead, but I'll move for the approval of resolution 2223-02 budget adoption.
Member Coolman second.
Having been moved and seconded, all those in favor for discussion?
Already said?
Already. All those in favor,
Yes.
say yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Any opposed? Perfect. 7.4 and 7.5 are done. Moving on to future meeting dates and suggested agenda items. We have Facilities Advisory Committee to the Superintendent, Monday, October 24th, 9 to noon. Policy Advisory Committee to the Superintendent, Tuesday, October 25th at 5 p.m. Strategic Planning Advisory Committee to the Superintendent, Tuesday, November 8th at 3 p.m. We have a board meeting Tuesday, November 8th at 5 p.m. We also have OSBA Convention, November 11th through the 13th, and we are traveling on the 10th.
And that November 8th Strategic Planning Committee may be moved back as we gather information for that committee. So
and what time is the November 15th meeting? Data,
Susan, do you know what we were thinking there? I think it
The data walk.
type 5:30. 5:30,
Is that the next side meeting?
but it'll also be a data walk for the board and all community members.
and the OSBA dinner meeting in Medford is when? October 24th?
October 20.
October 24th. Not everybody's going to that.
Who is going? Do we know?
I mean, Brian, you signed up for that one on the 24th?
Where are we going?
Medford for an OSBA, is that right?
Yes.
Yes. I did.
Member Dale Grange, member Brownell, and you.
We're gonna carpool?
Certainly, that sounds good.
All right, I'm going to adjourn the general session. We're going to take a 10-minute break. We have some goodies from the
Okay,
food service
Food
department.
Service Department has created some goodies for us to share. And so before executive session starts, we have an opportunity to just enjoy a little company with each other and some goodies. We have an apple pear spice cake with cream cheese frosting. We have banana muffins made with applesauce instead of oil or butter. And we have gluten-free cookies that taste like the corner of a brownie, for those of you that need that. Those are in my office. And so I'd ask that you would take a few minutes we're done pretty quick tonight and not rush off and enjoy each other's company. And we'll start executive session about 5 after.
All right,
Does that work?
yes.
Right. We'll get that to you soon, Gary.
Good.
All right, we're going to reconvene our general session and looking for a motion on 10.1. Expulsions?
There is no motion.
No?
You're voting on the Emily.
Yeah.
The two Emily.
Oh, 10.2, sorry, 10.2.1.
Member Nelson, I vote that we adopt 10.2.1 and 10.2.2.
Member Richardson, second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? It is passed. 10.2.1 and 2.2.
That's it.
That's all. I'll
Should we go to the order?
Adjourn the general session.
Well, then.